Hello everyone, my name is Moji. You're watching a Bitcoin Bubble News channel. A lot of people who care about the environment were scared by Chernobyl and 3 Mile Island. In a way, nuclear power was like Bitcoin mining back then. Environmentalists ran a big campaign against nuclear power, and it worked really well. And it slowed down the progress of nuclear power in the US. There would likely be a lot more nuclear power on the grid, and climate change would not be as bad as it is now if that hadn't happened. Having more time to deal with things would make me think we would be much safer. In today's show, we talk about how Bitcoin miners can change based on the supply and demand needs of power grids. Margot Paez is our guest. She works as a research fellow at the Bitcoin Policy Institute. She talks about how Bitcoin mining could change the energy industry and make it more profitable to build green energy infrastructure. Paez also talks about climate change and how Bitcoin mining might be able to help cut emissions by a lot by collecting gas from sources that wouldn't be profitable otherwise. Come with us as we look into how Bitcoin mining could change the way energy works around the world and lead clean energy development into a new era of human growth. Let's listen to Margot talk about how Bitcoin mining helps the switch to green energy. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsors Swan, Stampseed, and the Orange Pill app. We only work with companies and people that we trust, and we use our own tools here at Byte Intelligence. 21 Voices is what you are watching. Here she is right away, Margot Paez in Madeira, Portugal. The best thing about Bitcoin mining is how flexible it is. That means that most businesses that use a lot of energy can't turn off and on in seconds. This is an extremely unique trait. It's even better because it's made up of separate parts that are easy to move and set up anywhere. You have a lot less to put into it, so it's pretty easy to get started. After that, it pays you, right? You're making some money. The modularity, the ability to set up anywhere, the lower capital investment, and the ability to turn on and off within seconds make this a very, very flexible tool that doesn't depend on where it's used. It can be part of your energy toolkit and help keep the grid stable. Getting ahead of energy poverty by making a base floor of income. There are a lot of new ideas out there. In a way, methane mitigation is like a second-order effect, but that's what makes it so unique, and it's this freedom that makes Bitcoin mining so important. How can Bitcoin mining be used to make the network carbon negative? In essence, you go to these places where gas is present, being forced open or flared for some reason. Most of the time, it's because it's not cost-effective to collect and burn it. Also, these places have to exist like a landfill, biodegradable waste site, or animal waste site, right? They are going to exist, right? Also, but it's not worth the money to catch it. By putting Bitcoin miners on that site, you create a financial motivation to collect that methane, run it through a combustion engine, and connect more Bitcoin miners to the other end. This is because you're making electricity. Now you're burning methane much more efficiently than when you were flaring or releasing. Now that you're making Bitcoin, you're getting that money, but you're also making your greenhouse gas releases less powerful. Over the course of 20 years, methane is about 84 times more powerful than carbon dioxide. Taking everything else into account, that means that if you compared 1 molecule of carbon dioxide to 1 molecule of methane in the air, the methane molecule would warm the world 84 times more than the CO2 molecule. We need to keep this in mind as we make our short-term plan to deal with climate change, as we are quickly running out of time due to the net warming we've already seen. We can buy more time to deal with the bigger problem, which is CO2, if we can solve the gas problem first. That's right, CO2 is good, but too much of it can throw off the planet's energy balance, and that's not good. That's what we can do. There are different levels of how much we can help based on how easy we can add more Bitcoin miners to these sites. We need to slow down the warming so that those things don't happen. That means the idea is very strong. But of course, I'd love to see over time that we're not only carbon negative because we're offsetting that way, but also that Bitcoin miners are either taking a lot of the wasted energy, whether it's flared or vented, or they're located near renewable energy sources or on grids that are mostly renewable energy sources and using their flexibility to help keep the grid balanced. One way to get around some of these high-cost, capital-intensive problems that come with starting landfill mining to reduce methane is for the government to give Bitcoin miners real benefits. And that would be, it could be some kind of tax break, maybe something to do with property taxes like what we saw in Texas with spilled gas mining, and I believe in Montana where you can get a tax break. Tax breaks are a great way to get people to do things, but there might be other ways. For example, you could sell credits on a market as an alternative. These would be different from regular carbon credits, right? That might help with the build-out for renewable energy if you connect it to some other helpful infrastructure. In other words, let's say that Bitcoin mining in a landfill is just a way to get people to build the infrastructure that will collect that gas and turn it into energy. That might work if you connect it to a pipeline for renewable natural gas or to charging points for electric vehicles, right? In that case, the government might give you a loan that you could then sell at a market. That might be something. It would be cool if the government came up with new ways to make it happen. They do know how to do it. The IRA was passed, and many tax breaks were given to help businesses that are connected to the switch to renewable energy. I'm sure they would understand better if they just did. We need to do our part to teach them more about that. Wait a moment while we get a quick message from our sponsors. Making these movies takes a lot of time. To get the money we need to make them every week, we've teamed up with brands we trust, like Stampseed and the Orange Pill app. Don't put your Bitcoin in cold storage until you've written your seed phrase on a metal plate that can't be broken. Stampseed won't catch fire or rust. It won't break and is easy to hide. Because it doesn't have any loose bits, you can be sure that your Bitcoin will be safe for a long time. Use the link in the text below to get 15% off your stamping kit. It hit me like a lightning bolt when I got Bitcoin. It was the only money that really counted and the money of the future. But there was something wrong. I did not know anyone else who thought the same way I did, at least until I found the Orange Pill app. All of a sudden, I was linked to a group of Bitcoin fans in my own city who shared my interests. The Orange Pill app isn't just a forum for friends, a group of dedicated people who want to make the world a better place one Satoshi at a time. This show was made by Byte Intelligence and brought to you by Swan. Don't forget to follow both of our feeds and like this video to see more like it every week. Thanks for seeing. How they could reward people who mine Bitcoin with clean energy, even nuclear power, or by helping to build out power lines that use clean energy. But I know we're making progress when I hear Democrats say that in a sincere way. We haven't quite reached that point yet. There are still a lot of bad things that people say. I believe we still have a long way to go. Since Greens ran a big campaign against nuclear energy, we haven't put any money into it. Because of all the nuclear weapons, the Cold War, and of course Chernobyl and Beamo Island, a lot of activists were very scared. In fact, you could say that nuclear power was like Bitcoin mining back then, right? And it worked out really well. And it slowed down the progress of nuclear power in the US. We would probably have a grid controlled by nuclear power if that hadn't happened. I also think that climate change would have kept us from getting to where we are now. I believe that we would be much safer if we had more time to handle the problem and make the energy switch. So I think that was a problem. But I also know that things are changing, and I think it has to do with the age. The move to more nuclear power needs to happen faster. To do this, we need a lot more younger people in Congress who didn't grow up with that fear and who are more open to it. The truth is that technology has been growing in the background the whole time. It never went away. I also think nuclear power wants its time, but I don't think it will come until the end of this decade. In the short run, it won't help us with the transition either. But I hope it will be more important in the future. We hope that Margot has helped you understand the main reasons why Bitcoin mining is so exciting for the future of making and using energy. She shed light on how Bitcoin mining could help reduce methane emissions and spur new ideas in green energy. Furthermore, our conversation has made me think deeply about why nuclear energy didn't catch on in the 20th century. This serves as a warning